Congresswoman, you said in a recent Vanity Fair piece that you knew that this would be a vibes election. The vibes are horrible, but isn't this what people wanted?
I don't think so. I mean, this is a matter of people being overwhelmed with trying to make sure that they could take care of their families, whether it was keeping a roof over their head, food on the table, or keeping their kids going at school, right? And when things feel a little bad, it always ends up reflecting on the current administration. And so,
as it should. Somehow sounds like she's trying to slither the Democratic administration out of being responsible for the way people feel right now. They voted the way they feel. Joe Biden was not a good president. Somehow she's trying to explain why people felt the way they felt. And apparently what we thought we felt wasn't true. So let's let her break it down so we can have a better understanding of ourselves.
Till we get to the point that we start to tell people exactly what goes into the cost of food, what goes into the cost of gas and things like that, and understand who can do what, we're going to continue to see this cycle of, if I don't like the price of something, I'm going to blame the president and hope that if I vote for somebody opposite of the party that's in power, that everything will be fixed. And I got news for you. It is not going to go in the direction that he promised.
Okay, so I want to talk about how we move forward. I want to talk about branding and messaging as Democrats. But I did want to note that you also said in that same Vanity Fair article, because the economy is important for all of us, regardless of what your party affiliation is. But you said, look, folks that voted for him said the following, quote, well, I'll just take a shot with Trump. He may be an asshole. He may be racist, but I could afford my apartment. So now hopefully I'll be able to afford it again. I mean, I just
think that came from a black person. Why'd you pick a statement that came from a black person that talked about racism? Will the Democratic Party quit using black people for that kind of bullshit? It's getting old. And I just want to know if I can afford my apartment. And Trump might be an asshole and he might be racist. How in the hell does that statement come up from a black person? I know he's an asshole. I am assuming that came from a black person. But if you're white in America, why would you care if Trump is racist or not? It wouldn't even affect you in any way. So we know it wasn't a white person, just by that, deducing that. But goddamn, it's like all they want to do is keep gaslighting black people. Everybody else know better. She is that Asian lady on this MSNBC cast right here is not talking to Asian people. She's talking to black people. And the way I can tell you that is because they got Jasmine Crockett, the rising star in the Democratic Party. And you guys just watch how far she rises. They see her as a useful tool. She's Al Sharpton-ish. She's Jim Clyburn-ish. You know what I'm saying? She's that goddamn Hakeem Jeffries kind of person. All of them. I wish I knew all their names. All the black politicians we got, that's that. And that's what we need to get away from. Black people need to realize that politics, as we've been practicing it, don't work for us. And we keep doing this shit again and again. This is the time for you younger people to snap us older folks out of it and pull off the off-ramp and get this shit right. Jasmine Crockett is being a useful tool, and she needs to knock that shit off because it's only setting us back. It is not helping in any way. And your little beef with Trump and trying to keep fanning the flames between black people and Trump, it will just keep getting black people to vote Democrat and losing. That's not going to help. We need to educate ourselves in a different way. And I think we understand why inflation is what it is, because Joe Biden fucked up the country by not being a good president. By sleeping. And you imagine how many times his aides and his advisors must have walked by that office, must have walked by and seen him in there just snoozing and shit. You know how many times that must have happened? Or been in a meeting with him and he just wandering off on some other shit. And all these people have to cover for him and lie to us.
The quote from Trump where he's like, well, maybe the grocery prices, I can't control them, so I can't be able to bring them down.
Yeah, listen,
I really don't give a fuck if Trump can control grocery prices or not. That ain't important. What's important is that we can afford to pay the grocery prices. They're gonna go up for whatever goddamn reason. Time, shortages, personal people want to price their shit at particular prices. We just need to know we make enough money to pay our rent, pay our bills, buy food. Now, If someone tells me that the prices in the grocery store have gone up, I can live with that as long as I know that my wages are going to go up. That's all we need to be worried about is a president who's worried about how much money we got. And if these businesses want to keep rising up their prices, just give us the opportunity to have alternatives. So we're not forced into Walmart and only a couple other huge retailers. Open up the market. Let some of the small people compete in some way where to be on even footing for them. Help them out a little bit, because I have no reason to believe that you guys are doing anything in the interest of the of people, and especially black people. And you're using Jasmine Crockett to dumb us down. So many black people they love her. She's a sweetheart to them. They hear her talk, and you come in the other room. Who's that on there? It's Jasmine Crockett. Oh yeah, I like her. She's fiery. She just has a tone and a level of intelligence, and this is what she chooses to use it for. She could be way more beneficial for us. She's a member of the Congressional Black Caucus. You'll never hear that shit come out of any of them's mouth. They're not black first. And for you to line up with Kamala Harris is a prime example to me of where you are. Because to support Kamala Harris and know that she don't support us, I found that kind of like one of them things to judge you by, Jasmine Crockett. If you support a Kamala Harris type who ain't really down with us, who had no platform for black people. Some white people didn't like that. They thinking like, damn, she's really going as a black woman, like for real, and calling Trump racist and this, all kind of other shit when it pertained to her. But she never talked about racism when it pertained to the people who it really pertains to, us. And I can't imagine Jasmine Crockett supporting that bullshit, or anybody who I support.
Again, I just had to speak yesterday in Ohio. And one of the things that I told people is that we need to spend the next 2, 4, 6, 10 years really talking about what it is that government does and what it is that we don't do. We need to start educating people. The more educated people were about what it is that we as government could do, the better they were able to make their choices, right? And so here it is, at least we had a candidate that would look at the price gouging that takes place with those at the top.
First, she was talking about educating us on how the prices get high by, different means. It could be the high fuel prices. It could be the stock market. It could be a lot of shortages, supply chain. It could be a lot of shit. And I get where she was going with that. But now that she's talking about the Biden administration again, it's price gouging. The prices went up because it's price gouging. So that's the bullshit that I can't accept. And I ain't tolerating, and I'm not supporting.
And say, you know what, you guys are just price gouging. This isn't inflation. This is greed. And guess what? We're going to go after you. Have you heard those types of words come out of Trump? Absolutely not.
And you won't. Because I like to know what price gouging is really. If somebody has a product, light bulbs, and they want to sell their light bulbs for 25% more than everyone else does, they should have the right to do that, or 50% more. If people want to buy them, then buy them. If not, go buy someone else's. That's why we need to open up markets so there can be fair competition. And we won't have these kind of conversations. Let somebody charge whatever the fuck they want for their shit. If their chickens taste so much better than other people's, raise the price on your chickens. But you have to understand, people have a choice, or should have a choice, to buy other things. Don't push us down this one path, and then when the prices go up or down, we have no choice. We have to buy, or just a few retailers, and the competition is slim. You're going to get this kind of stuff. Everybody knows that.
Fact, when we talk about grocery prices, one of the things that came out a little towards the end of the campaign was that a Kroger executive admitted that they have been price gouging. Listen, we still have a lot of people out here that are greedy, because that's the country that we live in. And guess what? The greediest folk in America are now going to be the ones that are going to be running America.
And it depends on who you think are the greediest. Some people are so greedy that they will turn their back on an entire race of people that they're supposed to be helping. That's greed. So, there's different levels to this shit, and different reasons for people taking the paths they take. Somebody has gotten in this young lady's ear and said some wonderful things about the Democratic Party and how it's going to benefit her, because she can't tell me any of those people pulled her aside and told her how it's going to benefit us, because they don't know, because they ain't working on that. They're in there now under the guise of appeasement. They're trying to get along with everybody so that they'll be looked at in a way that hopefully it'll reflect on the rest of us. Oh, they're pretty good people. And if you have a job for them to do, if you have to give them an errand or something to go and do. But they're not leaders. They're appointees. You need to make sure, without having to go back and check, without having to look, that someone is manning that station who you trust, who you put a lot of trust in, a black person. Because they feel so honored that you had all that trust in them, that you appointed them the first black museum director in the state of Virginia. You know, bullshit like that. And then you got to own up to it, and then you look like you did something. But you did go in there and follow the rules and guard the cash register. And that's about it. And I'm getting a little tired of Miss Crockett here. She's going to have to start fighting for us and start being known as being black first. I think she needs to prioritize the things that are important so that she can accomplish her job. And who she's out there working for. She's out there working for black people. And being out there as a representative of ours, you have to bring our names up. You got to shout us out. We are your homies. We are the people who support you. You have to wave at us and not let them disrespect us by talking about a bunch of shit that has nothing to do with us. And if you do speak on it, you have to start by putting us out there. Hey, to my black brothers and sisters who got me elected, who got me in office, who really do genuinely love you. It's a lot of people out there who really support you no matter how you behave. I'm just saying, I think there should be conditions. Fuck that shit. We can't just be supporting people just because we like the way they talk or because their braids is banging and all that shit. That don't mean anything.
Because he has decided that the millionaires and billionaires who were investing millions of dollars into his campaign, guess what? They're going to be the ones, regardless of their qualifications, that are going to run the government. But I can tell you one thing. I am going to push back and fight every single day that I can, because my constituents cannot afford to have billionaires telling them that they don't deserve their Social Security that they've paid into. 20% of my district live at or below poverty. And I know that they voted for the right candidate, whether it was me or whether it was Kamala Harris. My district got it right. So I'm going to do my part.
And see, that's a brainwashing right there in the making. I mean, if she believe in that shit right now, and she's new to Congress. So, hopefully, and it's such an unfortunate opportunity for her, because she's in Congress, but who is going to mentor her? Do you guys know any black folks? Would you who? Maxine Waters? I mean, what black leader? Jim Clyburn? You know what I mean? What do we got who's going to put their arm? Kamala? Who's going to put their arm around this lady and talk to her like we talk to each other and let her know the real? No one. Because they are talking another language. They playing games with us. And we keep voting them in office and crying and whining and fussing and fighting over them. And they're not crying and whining and fussing and fighting over you at all. They don't give a damn. And it's so obvious, and it's painful to watch.
So let's talk about having people like you on House Judiciary, House Oversight. Let's talk about making those committees even more aggressive. There is nothing wrong or shameful by taking a page out of a good playbook that works. And one of those pages from the Republicans is having a level of an aggressive posture when it comes to making sure that the truth is delivered and that the lies don't obfuscate what is the reality for so many Americans.
Yeah, so right now we just got our ratios. Leader Jeffries just sent those out, so we know what the ratios are going to be on the committees. So that gives me an idea of my chances of potentially getting onto Judiciary. I am a permanent member of Oversight, but I am trying to get over to Judiciary and continue to serve with Jamie Raskin as my leader. And so with that, all the bad bills, for those that don't know, what comes to Judiciary is anything from immigration to civil rights issues to LGBTQ issues. It's going to actually be some copyright and infringement issues, almost anything, gun control issues, all those things are going to come through there. And obviously, we're going to have the criminal justice issues that will come through that committee. And so, yes, I wanted to be on judiciary my first term. I am trying for judiciary again. And obviously, I feel as if working in Raskin has only made me a better member of Congress. But let me tell you, we're going to have to fight back and fight back hard, because that is where the bills are going to come out of. The vast majority of the bills are going to come through that committee. And, you know, they may be able to get them out. But the one thing that I want to do is make sure that I beat up on them and make sure that the truth of those bills comes out, regardless of what the daggone title of the bill is going to be. I need people to understand this is nothing more than a target on your back, and this is going to hurt you, your friends, and your family.
Hey, that'd be nice if it was the truth. It'd be nice if we could trust Jasmine Crockett to really look out for us and shit, like you would think a black politician who is elected by black constituents could be trusted. But they asses can't be trusted because they're not taking their marching orders from the people who vote them in. They're taking their marching orders from the people who are mentoring them. And we don't like none of them. There's nobody in Congress right now who's been there more than 8 to 10 years who I like. I don't think any of them are doing anything at all that's really helping the country. They play games and they play politics. This politics that they play affects people's real lives, but it's really some sad shit. And I just wish that Jasmine Crockett could be the beginning. She seems like she has the kind of courage. She definitely has the intelligence, but she's going to have something else to go against them and still be able to survive in there, because she will not be reelected. You don't start really standing up for what you're really sent there to do and get reelected. There's so many one-term congressmen. Two-term, the early, if you ain't really rolling with that way that wheel is going, they'll find a way to kick that little ball bearing out. You're not going to mess up the direction that wheel's rolling. And right now, I don't see her as a threat. I don't see anybody being worried about her because she's talking the right talk. She's not shutting interviews down or taking interviews in the direction that she wants to go, like some politicians do when they have something that's heavy on their heart. They'll bring it up and because that's their pet project. That's their thing. Her pet project should be black people all the time. Every politician who is on that caucus, all of them. But for some reason it isn't. I just don't get it.
We get some more vitamin B6 coming from you. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you for getting us started today, my friend. It is good to see you.
Yeah, I just don't like Jasmine Crockett. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be honest. It's just because they got to her. And I don't dislike her in a personal way. I'm sure she's a good person and a wonderful person, probably a cool personality. But I just don't like something about her character that she knows with her intelligence and education why she's there. And when you go there and you're not able to do 100% of why you're there, and you're not doing it in the high 80s or 90s, then you're not there for us. You're not even, I mean, I'm just acting, that's on the high if 80 shit. And more like, really because of who they are, they're there. Because they're black and they play ball. If you're black and you don't play ball, if you're black and you keep pounding these black issues at them, you're not going to last. They don't want to hear it. They made it very clear they don't want to hear it. Because they don't. Do you guys hear much stuff about, we haven't progressed, but the talk has gone away. Why is that? The talk should have gotten louder. You don't, when we're annoying them. But that's just too bad. But we're not apparently at this point prepared to even annoy them anymore. We just, I don't know, you guys. That's crazy. But Jasmine Crockett, you know, let's support her if it is warranted. And if it isn't, we're going to have to start having less time to spend with these politicians who just waste our time, and these pundits. And something I wanted to bring up real quick before I go. You know what, you guys, this really tripped me out. You remember about a week and a half ago, Al Sharpton was being condemned for taking the money from Kamala Harris's campaign. And I was like, wow. You know, and basically they say giving her a softball interview. Whether he did or didn't, I think all his interviews with Democrats are softball interviews. He sits there kissing ass and shit and making absolutely no sense. Horrible interviewer. But The point is, he was some money was donated to his nonprofit from Kamala's campaign, like $500,000. And they're saying, hey, was that given like to give her softball interviews? Kind of like that shit that turns into nothing but like an infomercial. Look like that shit that she did with Oprah. And anyway, the black preachers, like little consortium got together and condemned it. Condemned Al Sharpton taking money, and then interviewing the candidate. It just seemed a little, Well, I think 2 days ago they came back out and they have gotten their support back in the right place. They're supporting Al Sharpton again because they completed their investigation and they realized he did nothing wrong. So with that, I just want you to know that's what we up against, you guys. These people are full of shit. Why would you even come out and ask MSNBC to suspend Al Sharpton? Or why would you ask MSNBC to look into it or anything? And you don't even know what happened. You obviously haven't conducted your investigation. And I'm sure your investigation probably included a sit down with Al himself. And I'm sure he's able to say he didn't do it. And because he's never done anything wrong. We all know Al is, he's just one of the good ones. And deserves all our support. So anyway, the black preachers, this is what the fuck we got to deal with. Pastors and preachers who deal with people like this. Pastors and preachers who are well-respected millionaires who hang around people who are shady. That's what we got to deal with. As black, our pastors are like typecast in movies as pimps looking people and Rolls Royce driving people, and it's just funny. And then you go to real churches and you really see that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like really see the Rolls Royces by like people who shouldn't be affording Rolls Royces. A congregation has bought you a Rolls Royce. A congregation has bought you a house, usually on the same property as the church or somewhere in that community. But you just get to live like that, and your fight isn't for those people. Your fight ain't for God. Who is these pastors fighting for? This is just a horrible place that we've gone to. Al Sharpton should not be allowed to have the name Reverend anywhere near him. That's what I just can't believe it. And these are the people that they hire because we follow them. We follow Al Sharpton. Let that shit sink in. Whew. All right, y'all. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.